Good evening again. So before we start the session, I would like to know so I'm starting the recording now. Good evening again. So before we start the session, I would like to have show of hands, or you please can unmute and respond to the question. Have you been able to go through the notes that are accessible to you on Blackboard for the module? If you feel shy to speak, you can just send me a yes or a no in on the chat. No shows. Partly read the notes, still reading in process. Thank you, Gillian. Are you able to access the recording? Yes, Sophia, thank you. Okay. Now, the second question is, thank you, Iman. So my second question is, do you have any questions, any queries, any, any doubts about what we have covered earlier? So please, I'll give you 2 minutes. Just think over any questions, any doubts. If you have gone through the notes, is there anything that you want me to go back and explain before we move to the next unit?
Madam, I missed your last class on the 7th October. So I just wanted to make sure what topics were covered during the last session.
Please don't feel embarrassed, don't feel shy to just pop a question, because I know some of you might be having doubts and queries when you're reading the notes as well as going through the manual. So if you don't have any question, I would like to start the session now. Please, if at any point during the explanation, you feel that you are not getting a point, or you feel that you need to get additional explanation, or I need to go back and explain, please do not feel hesitant, and just unmute and ask your questions. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Please be a bit interactive. I know we are tired. I'm tired too, but it will be boring if I hear my voice for 2 hours. Okay, so as per my notes, we have reached academic writing. So before going to academic writing, I would like to take a few minutes to do a recap for what has been covered earlier. Remember, it is an area of focus, and I do remember in the class when we met face-to-face last time, I mentioned it clear and net that technically you need to read the whole manual, because the questions that are going to appear in the exams will definitely be around the manual. Okay, so pena pour sortir de là, vous autres, you need to go through the manuals and the notes. Secondly, when you read the notes, you have to take your own notes, because one of the aspects of academic writing is note taking. So I'm going a bit about academic listening and speaking. So I'm just brushing through the academic listening. You know, academic listening is one important skills that you have to develop during your academic journey. Now, when I say that you have to develop it during your academic journey, it does not mean that it stops only within the classroom setup or an online or face-to-face setup. Your active listening, when you cultivate this habit of listening carefully during the lessons or during a meeting and all, so you understand that this listening actively to what is being said, to what is being conveyed, and for you to understand the essence and the main points are very important for your daily life and your professional space too. So academic listening is quite connected to the reading part, to the writing part, and then to the whole module of academic listening, academic literacy, sorry. So first of all, we have to understand what is active listening. Can somebody tell me what is the difference between hearing and listening before we go to active listening? What is the difference between between listening and hearing? You can just pop the answer or unmute, and please do answer the questions, because I will move from what you know to what is unknown. Quelle différence il y a quand nous dit écouter et tendre? No, no one. Do we use these words? Allez, who has
Yes.
opened the mic?
Hearing, c'est entendre le son, mais pas forcément écouter réellement pour comprendre. Listening, for me, it's paying attention to what is being said.
Allez, qui s'en a agree avec Guylaine? Do you agree with what Guylaine has explained to us about hearing and listening? No, no one agrees. Who disagree? Donc, ce que Guylaine India, c'est effectivement the main difference. Quand en créole, vous êtes, quand nous tendez, hearing, Samishta is saying, hearing is only the use of ears and listening is using sense of touch. Okay, both for hearing and listening are using your sense of your hearing sense. But différence qu'il y en a, vous êtes en créole, même nous finissons comprendre. Montan dire tel dit mouni n'arrive telles affaires. Montan dire. Ça veut dire un doubt. It gives you a benefit of doubts. Donc, comme I just hear, comme dans un classroom setup, et que on dit montan miss la peut dire ça, montan tuteur la peut expliquer ça, m'entendez. Je pas porte attention comment Guylaine bien expliqué. Par contre, comme dire écouter, c'est qui me pas distracted, me peut écouter attentivement qui lecture, the lecture about what is the lecture today, et qui tuteur la peut causer parce qu'il me connaît qui lit pour in line with the exams. So, quand nous écoutons, la plupart du temps, c'est pour tirer l'information, comprendre l'information, and actively, now, nous avons des façons d'écouter aussi. Et nous écouter là-haut, quand beaucoup de fois, même dans le cercle, vous êtes, nous trouvons dans 10 personnes, nous, bonnes camarades, qui peuvent causer avec nous, mais nous, soit nous peuvent causer avec nous, bonnes camarades, dis moi n'a pas dire je li peut écouter mais seulement il a ses téléphones, seulement il peut check ses mails, ou soit il peut get un autre affaires. Donc this is not active listening. Active listening c'est que nous peut focus au dit, c'est comme on peut causer, ou soit quand on peut causer avec un monde and a full focus, parce que it becomes an important form of personal, interpersonal, academic, professional, and human communication skill qui joue un rôle bien important in not only in our studies but in our daily life. Donc, qui fait important because its significance, il y en a beaucoup, il y a beaucoup de types d'interactions qui nous a on our daily life. Donc, quand nous cause active listening, it can refer to formal or informal listening. Donc, que ce soit dans un setup de informal ou soit dans un setup formal, rappelle que quand on fait active listening, it's all about helping you to comprehend, to understand, to assimilate, to assess the information that is being shared to you so that you can make out your own meanings and then respond. So, souvent, des fois, il y a un dictum, un dialogue qui nous dit en créole aussi, hein, arrête écouter pour répondre, écouter pour comprendre. So whether you are engaging with your tutors, with your fellow friends, with your students, or with your professional setup, it's very important for us to develop, to cultivate proficient and effective active listening skills. Okay? Why? Because these active listening skills are interlinked with note taking, academic reading, and also academic understanding of topics. So therefore, quand nous cause academic listening, on trouve aussi un mot qui paraît, c'est adept listening. So dans adept listening, nous avons deux primary focus. So premier focus, c'est lectures, ce qui nous peut faire maintenant, seminars, talks, presentation. Que ce soit online, que ce soit face-to-face, when you are in such an academic setup, you need to be careful about the way you are listening. Parce que, rappelle qu'il dans un talk, un séminaire, même une lecture, hein, il durait pour 2 heures, mais dans les 2 heures là, moi, j'ai fait de sorte qu'il y a un maximum qui me préparait pour low unit. Donc, if you are not attentive, and you are not active listeners, automatiquement, je te passe beaucoup l'information. Elle est la même qui, as a result, you say that you do not understand the class, but no one says that I don't listen to the class. Everyone will say, mon papa comprend, ou soit mon papa comprend qui présente à terre, peut causer, ou soit qui tuteur, peut expliquer. So it's all a play about your listening skills. Okay. Deuxième domaine, c'est nous avons un interpersonal interactions which involve exchange. Donc, que ce soit online ou face-to-face, nous avons un rôle à jouer vous autres. Là, everyone is listening to me because I'm the tutor. Okay? And I'm able to capture your attention parce que je te connais, moi, vous donne l'information. Maintenant, moi aussi, de mon côté, living vice versa. Comme quand je t'ai pour poser ma question, je t'ai pour mettre ban queries, définitivement, moi aussi, moi, je keep quiet and listen to you. So this comes up to a kind of mutual exchange of, for interactions. So very often, nous allons on one-to-one basis communications, nous avons tutorials comment nous peut faire, et aussi, surtout quand nous faisons teamwork and group activities. Maintenant, what is the aim, or what are the aims and objectives of active listening qui fait dans academic literacies, qui fait in the world of academia, à nous obliger à écouter attentivement. Donc là, c'est nous pas écouter, comment dire, pour répondre, ok, comment nous faisons en créole, mais nous peut écouter pour nous acquire knowledge, nous comprendre that information that is being shared with us, so that we can, at the end, reproduce it in a written form. So I'm not going to go through these, okay, through the details. So I leave it to you. So I'll just give you the main ideas. So active listening maximizes effectiveness. So when you are listening with your full attention, okay, you are able to grasp the essence and the main key ideas of the particular topic. And then it helps you to improve your comprehension. So active listening in a world where you and I are in a classroom setup, we know that it is very important to enhance our abilities to understand, internalize, assimilate, comprehend, dissect, and then reproduce ban affaires qui bien complexes, comme ban topic, ban content, ban discussions, etc. Donc, du coup, ça, active listening, nous allons in the written form, in the shape of Blackboard forum discussion for the unit. So it also allows you to understand from it it provides the space plutôt for an in-depth understanding of the materials at hand. Remember, in academia, you do not have simple, il n'y a pas d'article qui est bien simple, il n'y a pas de livre qui est bien simple. Un topic qui est super facile, mais il y a aussi un livre, un topic, un journal, un academic articles qui est compliqué. Donc là, c'est avec cette active listening, active reading, qui je pour développer cette critical analysis, et là, je peux plus comprendre. Nous avons aussi effective participation. So this active participation enriches not only your learning and teaching experience, mais aussi les autres pour devenir active agents in the academic and educational space, where you engage in meaningful, effective, and constructive discussions, arguments, pas arguments in a negative way, in a positive way, particularly when we speak of teamwork, like group projects and debates. It also helps you to, and it also provides you the ability to to develop and enhance problem solving skill. Vous êtes souvent des fois qui fait un misunderstanding, qui fait beaucoup de challenges que nous causons, c'est parce qu'il dit moun écouter pour répondre. Donc là, quand nous écouter pour comprendre, li aide-nous pour identifier ban points importants, ban problèmes, ban gaps qui nous a, mais aussi reconnaître ban challenges et de là, li pour équipe nous pour comprendre, pour read in between the lines, to bring in insightful contributions like comments, suggestions, and discussions. Aussi aider pour mieux collaborate with your team and bring solutions to academic issues. And one of the ways of bringing academic solutions to academic issues, say effective solutions rather, to academic issues are, when you're in your assignment or particularly your dissertation, you are asked to give the recommendation. So, maintenant, fait que ma dire, je peux faire ça, vous êtes dans une dissertation, je peux faire interviews, je peux faire personal communication, etc. Maintenant, soit je peux get YouTube videos et maintenant, you are not listening. Vidéo là, peut jouer, 10 minutes là, peut répondre à cette question, mais je ne la tête pas là. Soit je peux faire une autre affaire en même temps. Donc, souvent, des fois, qui arrivent, nous ratons pas l'information importante et de là même qui nous pas cave reach nos recommendations. Donc, lui aussi foster better communication skills. Donc, moi, connais dans la classe, moi aussi, I was in that position. We are still in that position because I keep on learning from you. So we are always, some of us are struggling with proper communication because c'est qui vient dans la tête vous autres c'est oh what if I commit a mistake or what if what I say people make fun of me. So you should not be worried about what people think about your questions because believe me, no question is a stupid question in academia. En général aussi parce que peut-être question qui je là 10 moun si pas comprend mais 10 moun reste tranquille because they are shy or because they are introvert or they are afraid, okay? But when you ask a question, maybe you have indirectly helped the whole class. Ou soit ça tigit groupe qui tient une question on this particular topic. So when you actively listen, you will be able to to bring more contributions to the discussion and therefore my class will not be monotonous. And then it also enables you to articulate your ideas properly, irrespective of your professional or career orientation, irrespective of your academic orientation. When you actively listen, you are able to process information in a proper way. So then it allows you also to build or to reinforce your relationships because you then become an active agent in supportive academic networks whereby the exchange flows smoothly. And then ce qui me disait tout à l'heure là c'est que beaucoup de fois dans nos conversations il y a beaucoup de misunderstandings. So active listening will help you to reduce or curb these misunderstandings. Now, quand nous cause aussi active listening, we speak also of empathy and inclusivity. Very often, quand nos camarades viennent cause avec nous, ou soit un dimanche viennent cause avec eux, the excuse that I'm hearing right now, since some time, is I am busy. I am busy has become such a tagline and such an easy phrase for people to reject, to give their time to some people who need their help or who need, sometimes we just need somebody to listen to us. That is where your active listening will be able to encourage your empathy. So I guess you believe, I believe you know what is empathy. So empathy is when you place yourself in the shoes of the others. So when you place yourself in the shoes of the others, technically you are living the pain, the struggles, the happiness of the others. Okay? Donc, et qu'aussi aide pour comprendre the whole mechanism of inclusivity. Very often, nous disons oui, maman inclusive, but what does inclusive really mean? Okay, does inclusive really mean ki menazis un garçon, une fille dans groupe? It's gender, pena gender differences. Et dans combien les autres considérations qui nous besoin été qu'on cause inclusivity, par exemple, c'est nous besoin accepter et comprendre qui est dans différentes perspectives, viewpoints. Nous besoin engage dans une conversation respectfully. Donc, parce que nous besoin comprendre que tout le monde pas vient from the same background, tout le monde pas vient from the same language skills, ok, the same language skills. Donc, pas ça veut dire que mon camarade pas qu'on cause anglais, ça pas qu'on cause français, me clear à chaque fois. This is not inclusivity, okay? And inclusivity is basically fostering an academic society where you include people from different groups and different backgrounds, including religion, politics, sexuality, and then persons with disabilities. Okay? So then it prepares you for the future. Once you develop this active listening, you will be able to enhance your professional experience. Vous êtes souvent des fois dans meeting. Combien entre eux, pendant un meeting, vous êtes sommet, vous êtes baillé faux. Be frank. Combien entre eux, quand il y a un meeting, nous gagnons sommet? You can just respond. Eh? So, Sophia, you say that hearing is perceiving a sound, active listening is hearing with thoughtful attention. Very good definition. So, souvent des fois, vous êtes quand nous dans un meeting, nous commençons à bailler, nous commençons fatiguer parce qu'il nous dit, aïe, you know, sorry. The person is repeating the same thing and all. Why do we have these, you know, nous get so made sala, nous feel bored? Say because our active listening, our listening skills have gone low. And once you do this, you will be able to help yourself at work and help others also, not only at work, but throughout your life. And then, of course, you learn through listening. So babies, kids, they learn through active listening. À cause ça qui mes enfants posent beaucoup de questions parce qu'ils ont écouté, ils ont assimilé, ils ont capté, ils ont assimilé. Then they come up with questions. Now, how do we become an active listener? First of all, it is an individual choice. It is an individual task because you need to make an effort, a genuine effort to try to pay full attention and to concentrate on listening to them, because when you do that, you are showing interest in the conversation, and then you are showing one important aspect of academic speaking and listening, say respect. Okay, and then you need to focus on the content. Very often nous pas d'accord avec ce qui dit moun peut dire, ce qui nous fait nous focus shift from the content and the person. So il y a l'audimuna, donc quand nous focus shifter il y a l'audimuna, c'est là qui nous gagne. C'est là qui nous gagne misunderstanding and clash, because you start to see the person as a problem but not the content. Et ce qui arrivait beaucoup, par exemple, just a brushing note, c'est dans politique. Beaucoup d'affaires qui disent dire et que les mal passé parce qu'ils nous comprennent de différentes façons. Et là, c'est dit nous avons personal issues avec the person, not the content. And then you need to use language in context. So when you speak, if you want to be an active listener, you need to contextualize and understand and recognize the non-verbal clues. Par exemple, quand nous sommes en classe face-to-face, vous êtes, I can easily see you and I can tell, okay, this person has understood, this person is not understanding, because your body language, your eyebrows, your eyes, your facial expression, the way you sit, the way you move, the way you fidget, you know, you are restless on the chair. All these give me the signal that whether the person has understood or not. And very often you are already having issues, and then when you sit, you cannot focus directly on the topic. So it's very important to decode words and non-word communication. And of course, if you are in a setup where you are able to ask questions, it means you are attentive. It means you are really an active listener because you are picking up the important aspects. So then active listening, as I mentioned, is a deliberate effort which demands your personal attention and focus. And it also is very much focused on content, because you need the content to understand what is being said. And then it speaks on the message it speaks about the message that is being conveyed in a verbal and in non-verbal communication setup. So active listening strategies, you need to have a presence of, c'est qui nous dit présence d'esprit. You need to have a state of mind which is active. Okay, so it is in this way that you adopt an attitude of respect for the person who is speaking, for the speaker, and the context itself. And this is where you are able to assess your gaps, whether you have understood or not. So it's very, and you know, guys, to right now to be in the class at 7 o'clock after a hard work, after a hard day at work, you need to be able to concentrate. You need to be able to, you know, to how to say, you need patience. And patience, respect, honesty are three important hallmarks of active listening. So remember, we have non-verbal strategies too. So if, for example, I'm in the class and I'm stuck on the mobile, I'm speaking, but I'm stuck on the mobile and I'm not looking at you at all. So many of you will start to judge me just because I'm using my mobile and I'm not looking at you. Okay, no one will really focus on the content because my action is speaking for itself. So therefore, when you are an active listener, you will automatically observe the body language, the eyes, the facial expressions, the way, whether you are taking notes or not. By the way, it's very important for you when you're listening, you take notes, because notes are also forms of, you know, it shows that you are listening and you are trying to, you know, understand the ideas. So the more somebody fidget in the class, the more it sends the signals that something is wrong and there's a lack of focus. Then you need to be oriented towards the content, because the content is what you need. And when you are an active listener, this is where you will be able to assess whether the content is organized, because you will try to look for keywords. You will also pay attention to repetition. So if you hear me repeat the same thing again and again, it means two things. First one is I am trying to attract your attention to tell you that this is an area of focus, or I don't know what to say more and I just keep on repeating, just beating around the bush. So listening to lectures are very important in the academic sector, academic world, because there are many complex ideas that are being discussed and there might be challenges for students. So now you need to enhance your lecture experience through active strategies. Very often, students tell me, Miss, Madame, vous connaissez, nous gagnons sommeil online, ou soit nous pas trop contents online classes. Yes, I too. I am not too, you know, fond of online classes, but given the COVID condition and the facility for online classes for ODL, if you're working, so you have time and all. So you need to adjust yourself. You need to adapt your listening skills, because you need to prepare yourself psychologically, thinking that this time I will not meet the tutor. Okay, so how do we enhance experience through active listening strategies? First of all, you try to engage with the content. So when you engage in the content, you immerse yourself, focusing on the content, the words, the phrases, the concept, the theme, the theories, and then you avoid distractions, because if you are distracted, you are reading a difficult text and then you are checking your WhatsApp, or you are listening. Some people can listen to music, some people cannot listen to music while listening. So you need to really engage, and one way of engaging with the content is preparing yourself before you come to class, so that when I am adding to that, you can connect and then you can come up with doubts and queries. So, and then you can also assess whether you have understood it properly or not. Then you ask questions. So asking questions is not only a means to clarify doubts and you know, queries, but it shows that you are proactive because your listening skill is high. Then taking effective notes. While you are listening, you need to note down the important aspects. For example, you can draw bantibolum, etc. Zotka fait mind mapping. Zotka fait brainstorming in your mind and then write it in your own ways, because note taking is an area of focus and it is a very important activity in academic writing. Il paraît qu'on quand on a un meeting, nous prenons notes. Et a un dimanche qui fait minutes of meeting, il peut dire tout ce qui passe dans meeting, and a nous qui assistent as employés, ou soit as students, what we do, we just take down important ideas. Then it shows that you are participating actively to and contributing to the discussion that goes on in the class. It helps you to clarify your doubts, as I mentioned earlier, and bien sûr, bien important, c'est applying your critical thinking. So now, when you enhance your lecture experience using active listening strategies, you need to reflect on key takeaways. Qui m'en apprend à la fin de sa classe-là? Est-ce qui m'en apprend un nouveau mot? Est-ce qu'il m'en apprend un nouveau concept? Est-ce qu'il m'a besoin de passer le notes là and fancy research? Okay? So it reinforces your knowledge and learning capacities. Then it makes you become more interactive. You know, one of the reasons why you must have noticed by now, in our quizzes, in our forum discussions on Blackboard and all, in our activities, it's because we are focusing on an interactive learning platform. And wherever possible, whenever it is possible for you, you need to engage in interactive learning activities, comme un forum discussion on Blackboard, new activities in the manual, etc. Okay, and then you can. It helps you to create a concept maps. That's what I was telling earlier about mind mapping. And of course, you need to assess how you use the materials and sources available at hand, because you need to know how to extract the information. So now you have three phases in listening skills. The first one is before the listening. I'll leave it to you here. Okay, one of the before listening skills is you need to go through your manual, you need to go through BB, read the notes, and then prepare yourself before the class. Then you have the while listening. So the while listening is very important, because this is where you are going to understand the organization of the lesson, the context, to understand the message and the ideas that are being put forth. You need to listen to identify key points, supporting points, evidence and facts, opinions, and also because we are focusing on using the peel technique, so it will help you to gather more information. Of course, when you do this while listening, you should avoid distractions, and one of the distractions which has taken the hot seat today is the phone. Now you have after listening phase. After you listen, you come up with questions, you need to revise your notes, you need to reinforce your notes by doing your independent research, add up additional information, and then you reflect on your gaps and weaknesses and strength. So in the manual, you will see this in Unit 3. You will see a top-down listening strategies and then bottom-up listening strategies. This is area of focus, so you need to know these well. So when we speak of top-down, the word itself says you move from the top, you go down. So it's before the lecture, you need to review the lecture notes. And then after the lecture, you need to keep on engaging yourself with the topic, because the conversation is continuous. So when we speak of the bottom-up listening strategies, you need to focus on particular terms, particular verbs, words. You need to grasp the tone, the pitch of the voice. And then you pay attention to repeated terms and pauses. And also you need to keep on listening to understand the topic better. So listening in learning scenarios such as you and I right now. So active listening strategies are, it's universal. It does not reflect, it is not limited to only online or the face-to-face. It is a universal idea. and then it will focus on your interpersonal interactions, so that you can make out relevant ideas and relevant things, picking up relevant topics and points. And online listening offers advantages because it allows you to pause, to replay, because we are in an asynchronous learning condition. Okay, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? No? C'est bon? Any questions?
No.
Now, there is a link there. You need to go, because you need to open it and listen and take down notes, because it gives you 5 ways to listen better. Now, when we speak of listening and we speak of reading in academia, one important activity that comes up is the note taking. So remember, we are all different learners. Some learners will learn more from the visual and graphic representations. Some of us will be learning just by listening. Others will be taking notes. Others will be just listening to recording, etc. So it's different. So of course, whatever means or whatever approaches we take individually for our reading, for our academic learning, note taking also is different. So you need to have a clear purpose. When you are in the session, before you come to the session, you need to understand what part of the session you are going to take down notes. Okay. So this is up to you, because even the class has its own objectives. Then you need to be critical when you are taking notes. If for example, you find something which speaks of cost, and then there is no response in the lecture. So there you can write cost question mark. What are the different aspects that you would like to ask questions about in terms of cost? Then you have the survey scheme, scan the text first. So you need that to get an overall idea of the text. Then your active listening is related to your active reading. Okay, academic reading, as we have already done. So engaging actively with the text does not only help you to understand the content, but this is where it makes you develop your note-taking skills. So you can highlight, you can draw pictures, you can rewrite in another notebook, you can annotate the note, etc. Now, during the note-taking, this is area of focus. Please, you need to read it. So during note taking, you need to make a note of the source. That is what we call references. You need to use the appropriate patterns to take the notes. Some of you might be using the mind mapping. Some of you might be using the bullet points. Some of you might be using, drawings, etc. So, of course, when we speak of notes, notes are not full-fledged sentences. They are short, clear, concise, precise. Because note the brevity of note taking, the fact that notes should be brief. That is why it helps many students to revise for the exam, because it provides you the necessary information only. Then you need to use in your own words. So very often we listen and then we process and we write in your own words. This is also a good technique for note taking, particularly if your question requests you to write in your own words. Then you have to make your own ideas clear. Whether you have understood this idea or not, it is up to you to make this distinction between the writer's ideas and your own idea. Then after you have taken your notes, of course, there comes the organizational skills. So you need to organize your notes in a very systematic and appropriate manner, so that when you read your notes or you use it for exam, you know that it is organized. For example, one of the organization skills that I can show you right now in the class is Right from the beginning, I asked you questions. I went into the lessons. I go step by step, and then I'm asking you questions in between. So it shows you, it gives you an idea that the tutor knows what he or she is speaking about, and it just reflects with the organization. So now one of the important idea, this is in the novel, this is in the manual on page 69. Okay, so I'm already helping you by giving the page numbers. So you need to know what is the SQ3R for reading and making notes. So SQ3R is an important acronym to recall if you have questions about academic reading, particularly academic note taking. So it refers to survey, question. So now when you question, you need to read, you need to remember, and you need to review. So I leave this to you, these notes. This is up to you, because when you will read it, you will have to take your own notes to show yourself and to show the examiner that you have understood the topic. Do we have any questions for academic listening? Do you have any questions? Please raise your hands. No, c'est clair? Are we good?
Yes.
Yes. I know you are tired, guys. I know this. Allez. So now let's go for academic speaking. So one thing that you will notice in academia and academic literacies is that all the units are interlinked. You cannot read a unit without interlinking them together. So academic speaking, very often I do code switching. Code switching in linguistic terms means me shifter du créole à l'anglais du français à l'anglais. Nous, si nous faisons ça dans le monde everyday world and particularly at work too. So academic speaking is very important because it focuses on the fluency, the accuracy, and your communication skills. Now, when I speak of academic literacies, academic writing, academic vocabulary, academic language, beaucoup d'affaires vous êtes, I cannot explain in English because si mo envie montrer c'est quoi academic vocabulary, et que vous servi un mot, peut-être nous pénali en créole, ou soit en créole, comment nous pénal verb to be, so it becomes difficult to translate that into English. So therefore, when you're doing things in academia, you need to bear in mind that your thinking should go towards academic thinking too, because this is where you are going to be critical, and you will be able to bring in your critical analysis and your critical writing. So therefore, what is academic speaking? Par exemple, je cause avec votre ban camarade, je cause la case, this is not academic speaking. Okay? Academic speaking has a much more professional idea attached to it, because it refers to the verbal communication skills that is basically and primarily used within an educational and academic setup. So very often you will hear the word scholarly, or you will know the word scholarly. So that means the same, academic. So when we speak of academic speaking, this is where you focus on your presentation of ideas, research findings, and content to a target audience, which is primarily from a formal academic dimensions. For example, you have tertiary level, secondary level, you have colleges, you have professors, visiting professors, etc. So academic speaking is where you use formal language. For example, if you want to ask me a question, you cannot tell me, hey miss, miss is not academic, miss is not respectful too. Okay? Or when you want to interact during the lectures and your friend has said something, you cannot, just come up with the big words, or swearing words, etc. Because you're not respecting the academic setup. And these academic listening, academic speaking skills are very important or significant in in participations in seminars, academic presentations, discussions, and brainstormings. So therefore, typically, we focus on these 5 ideas when we speak of academic speaking. Verbalizing data. How do you verbalize? How do you present your data in oral? Okay, when you're making oral presentations, which probably you will be having when you're going for your dissertations, or you have a module where you have to present something. So the way you participate in seminars, okay, in seminars and discussions. Sorry, there's a small mistake here, so you please ignore the mistakes when you are reading the notes. So it's like you need to ensure that what you want to say is getting across in a proper way. So we need to understand that for us to speak academically, we need to understand some features of the academic spoken English. First of all, it is formal. You cannot use any informal language in an academic setup. You cannot use colloquial words like gotcha, gonna, etc. It should be explicit, it should be direct and focused, so that you do not confuse your readers or your listeners at one point of the conversation. You need to be precise and concise, particularly when you are referring to factual information. And there is something called hedging in academic literacies, which refers to, in any kind of academic speaking you do or you intend to do, it is important to make decisions about your own positions, okay, and to assess the strength, the strong points of what you are putting forward during that particular space of speaking. And this is a technique that is very much common to linguistics. So linguistics are those who decipher language, from head to bottom. You need to be responsible too, okay, because you need to demonstrate a level of maturity, critical thinking, and so that you can justify whatever you are speaking about. Then you need to focus on accuracy, credibility, viability, and feasibility of what you are telling. Remember, very often language is complex. Despite the complexity, the spoken language has shorter words, because when we have a less dense and varied vocabulary. Par exemple, en créole même, un tas mot, un seul mot nous servit dans différents contextes. So then you need to remember that you have to be objective, because objectivity is the heart of academic literacies. And if you take any personal stand without being asked to, then you are failing into your academic endeavor. Then it is planned and organized. Of course, I cannot come and use any kind of language that I want right now. So when we speak of academic speaking, we are basically referring to taking part in academic discussions. Okay, and academic discussions, conferences, seminars, webinars are all important ideas, are all important activities for your academic journey. And when to adopt academic language, academic speaking, automatically you see, give me 1 second. So you see that, you need to contextualize your language. For example, right now, I'm speaking about discussions, academic discussions. Because I won't be able to show you, what I'm dealing with. So in addition to increasing your understanding, it allows you to challenge, assess, analyze, dissect ideas that are being presented, so that you can enhance your participation. Okay, very often we are in academic setup, guys, we are shy, we are afraid of being shamed, we are afraid of being mocked at, and this is where you need to start developing and cultivating. This is where you need to adopt and you start to to cultivate this skill of developing your academic speaking. Because if you don't speak in a classroom, or you have doubts and you don't ask questions, then you are you are putting yourself in a difficult situation, because you are here to learn, you are here to progress. So therefore, why do we have academic discussions? It helps you to understand the the deeper level, a subject or a topic from a deeper levels. Okay, it helps you to read in between the lines. It also enables you to share ideas and insights, not only with your peers but also with the tutors, so that the tutors understand that you are getting the points from the lessons. Then it also enables you, it gives you any space for others to hear your own thoughts and your ideas, to understand that you are contributive agents into the academic milieu. Of course, when you're sharing ideas, you need to be prepared psychologically that there will be counter arguments. So you need to be ready for your counter arguments, because not everyone, even what I say, is taken from its positive perspective. You might not be agreeing with me, but unfortunately we are going by the manual. So you cannot divert and redirect everything. We need to focus on the manual. And also it allows you to enhance knowledge, but also to disseminate your knowledge to others, proving and improving your ability to think critically. And for some of us who are shy, who are a bit introvert, who feels embarrassed to speak, it allows you to boost your level of confidence. So effective discussion, therefore, happens when we discuss and we agree to disagree politely, or we disagree to agree politely. And remember, not all discussions might be effective. However, there are multiple reasons for why discussions, academic discussions are, not only academic, like non-academic discussions become difficult, because as I said in the beginning, we listen to answer, we don't listen to understand. Whereas in an academic setup, discussion is effective in many situations, because you are in a circle where people are of the same mindset. You are on the common ground, where if I say that this theory is not applying to this, other people will try to understand, but some also will counter argue my opinions, because counter arguments act as a constructive criticism for improvement. And criticism should not be taken completely as from a negative way. It should be taken rather positively. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Are we good? Okay. So now, when we are speaking about academic speaking, you are also involved individually. So it is important for individual participation. How? How do we get involved in academic speaking, academic discussion? It's by preparing the topic earlier. So I was glad to see that some of you were responding positively, that you have been able to read the notes either completely or partially. Even a partial reading shows that you are making up your time, you are doing your individual effort. And secondly, right now, if I have around how many of you are in the class? Around 33 students in the class. It means I'm very appreciative of that, because it means you have made an effort to be here today, because you are willing to listen, you are willing to understand, and probably you have doubts that you want to clear. And then you can build up. This is what criticism is in literature, in literature reviews and all, in academic world, where you have A has said something, B does not agree, but B brings in something else. This is how dissemination of knowledge, and you keep on growing in learning. And of course, when you are speaking in an academic setup, you should be honest. This is one of the key ideas. However, when you are speaking in an academic setup, you need to give others the space, the time, what we call airtime, to speak. You cannot dominate every conversation. For example, right now, I'm the one dominating the space because I'm the only one speaking. Okay, no, like since the beginning, very few of you have been able to respond, and then most of you are not able to, or you do not want to. This is an individual perspective. So when there is only one person who speaks in a group, I'm sure many of you must have gone through that situation where you're speaking and there is only one person speaking everything. And then when we speaking, when we speak about discussion in academic setup, you need to know how to agree and disagree politely. You don't start a fight. Very often when we say discuter en créole, discuter veut dire des négatif. Ça veut dire l'infinitive en la guerre là. Okay? However, academic discussions are very much, they flourish a lot on agreement and disagreement. À cause qu'il y a différentes critiques, différentes théories. Okay? So when you're speaking, please make your points clear, precise, concise, pas confuse everyone. And then you need to allow others to speak without interruptions. Sometimes I do overlap and speak over people when they're speaking online because there are internet issues. So when there are internet issues, I cannot from my end understand whether the person has already spoken or not. So now you also have a collective activity to do when we are having this academic discussions. So you need to be able to, distribute the work efficiently and fairly. And for each kind of discussions, you need to sum up the key ideas and then come up with arguments and counter arguments and allow everyone to speak. So how do you improve now your academic discussion skills? You need to prepare. Prepare is what I've said in the beginning. Read the notes, read the manual. Then you observe. When you observe, you are doing your active listening. Of course, you share your opinions, you agree, you disagree, you accept, you reject ideas. Then you can ask for clarifications, you can ask questions, you can add comments and add to what I am saying. And remember, you need to give speaking time to everyone, and of course be inclusive. You need to speak respectfully. So then you have the listening part and then the participation part when we speak of academic speaking. This is in your manual. I forgot which page. This is in your manual. So when we are going to discuss things in an academic setup, you have arguments and counter arguments. Comment dire, une partie d'opposition, une partie ruling party là. Okay, so this chart from the manual will help you to get some ideas of how you can present your argument and counter argument. So I leave it to you to read the sentences. Now, I have helped you by giving you some helpful phrases when you are giving opinions, when you are asking for opinions, when you are, giving evidence, when you are agreeing to something or to someone, or you are giving others the chance to speak. You also have also provided some useful phrases to acknowledge your ideas, but also to disagree. But I said you disagree politely and respectfully. So when you set aims, how do you set your aims when you're speaking, particularly if you're working in a group? And how do you set a timetable? For example, right now, when I started my tutorial, I started directly by asking you questions, and then I went for the recap. So I did not come and tell you this, but very often in a seminar or conference, when you see the agenda or you are going for a talk, it sets the timetable and they'll say that for the first part of the talk, we are going to see this, and then we are going to move to something else. Then when you're summing up, you are concluding a work or you're concluding a speech, whatever you're speaking about, these are some ideas of how you can, introduce them, how you ask a question, how you ask for clarification. Very often I get this question, could you explain again? Okay. Or I didn't quite know. I don't get, I didn't quite follow that. But very often say, could you explain again? So you have different ways of asking, of asking the same thing. So you need to know how to vary your vocabulary. And then if you are checking on understanding. So very often I ask you, is everything fine? Do you have any questions? Do you have any doubts? Do you have any queries or any comments? This is my way of checking on you. And then how do you respond? Okay. Very often this comes on chat. Okay, thanks. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is basically a chat language, but we do use it in spoken. So how can you introduce giving suggestions? These are some sentences, some phrases, and then when you express certainty and uncertainty. Okay, do you have any question? Do you have any questions? Ali. Now my question, how many, who can define an etiquette? Thank you, Nuvina. Meaning of asynchronous, sorry, I'm seeing your chat now. Meaning of asynchronous is when, for example, we have finished the session, you go back and then you listen to the recording or you complete the activities. This is asynchronous because you are doing it after the session. So we are not doing it at the same time. Whereas right now, we are in a synchronous situation because at the same time, you are online and I'm online too. Allez. Do you have any questions? Any doubt? So now I'm going to something very important. Qui s'en a qu'à explique-moi c'est quoi une étiquette? On va pas dire étiquette, hein, mais dire étiquette. C'est quoi une étiquette? Allez, do you think, allez, quand vous êtes au restaurant, vous êtes, what happens in a restaurant when you, Kevishna is sending etiquette of the moral codes, good manners. Okay, do you believe that we need to follow good manners in our daily life? Do you think it is important? Sejal is saying following decorum. Kevishna says yes, it's important. Imam says yes, it is important. Panjale is saying that etiquette means polite behavior in society. Yes, but is it only polite behavior in society or in our personal space too? Sophia Sands set of rules or custom that control accepted behavior in particular social groups or social situation, and she says yes, it is important. Yes, you are all right in your definition of an etiquette. Now remember, when we speak of an etiquette, it is a set of rules, it is a set of code of conduct that we need to follow in many spaces of our life. So, for example, quand on a un restaurant, vous autres, quand on a un restaurant, get à la maison, quand un petit bébé, quand nous la case, hein, we at home, nous avons pour manger dalle, okay, and we need to feed a child, okay, nous donne les bol dalle, ou soit bol, I don't know, lentilles, etc. And then nous donne un petit bout du pain, nous pour casse du pain là, nous pour mettre dans bol là, and then the child will eat. Or sometimes we do it too, because our home is our personal space, right? Mais est-ce qu'il nous casse du pain mettre dans bol d'un restaurant? Yes, Sheetal says yes, it is important in our daily life. Est-ce qu'il nous casse du pain mettre dans bol d'un restaurant? No, we cannot do that. It means somebody speaking. Allez, we cannot cast du pain mettre dans bol vous êtes dans restaurant because it is not an éthique, c'est pas un table manners. Donc, ce qui nous fait dans restaurant, nous prenons un petit cuillère, nous mettons un petit cuillère dans la bouche, nous cassons un petit bout du pain, nous mettons du pain là, après qu'il nous mette dans la bouche, ok? This is the proper way of eating a soup or whatever we are eating with bread. So, in the same way, nous avons une étiquette and set of etiquettes and set of rules keep for discussion in academic setting qui nous dit discussion etiquette. So what is the discussion etiquette? It speaks of respectful, constructive, professional behaviors and norms qui nous, ban individu obligé nous are expected to follow when we are engaging in a scholarly conversations, debate, dialogues. Par exemple, if you need to meet me, guys, de pas pour venir dire moi, madame, observez nous, ou soit vous y serez dans mon bureau ou que faut avec moi. Non, you need to follow the proper code of conduct. Okay, to meet the tutors, to meet the DG. So, là, Kevishna is saying it is important to have good etiquette in our daily life. When talking to people, it gives a perception about the people. Exactly. So, in our academic world, si vous êtes, nous avons discussion etiquette, and this is something that we have to adhere to. Par exemple, si vous êtes gain l'occasion à une conférence, à présenter papier, etc., which I highly encourage you to do, you will see that the protocol même différent. Okay, when the speaker is speaking, you cannot. It's not one of the etiquette qui beaucoup de monde pas servi, c'est qui quand un monde peut causer, nous besoin pas causer, nous causer même dans classe, si je fais aller dans travail, quand un meeting, nous peut buzz, etc. So in academia, it's very important for you to respect that decorum because it encompasses principles, rules, practices qui est là dans academic discussions because we need to ensure that the discussion is productive, inclusive and conducive to intellectual growth. Là, vous êtes, quand je peux répondre aux questions, you are sharing your knowledge and you are contributing to the academic growth of not only me, but also of the whole class. So therefore, discussion etiquette in an academic set speaking fosters an environment qui les examiner, les challenge et les refine aussi, parce que nous cause about a culture of mutual respect and intellectual exchange. This is exactly what we are sharing right now. And when you follow the etiquette à la lettre, okay, it allows you to enhance the quality and effectiveness of academic discourse. Can you please mute? Thank you. So therefore, what are the aims of having a set of discussion etiquettes? So the aim, premièrement, c'est to establish a conducive, respectful, honest environment for scholarly sharing. Parce que c'est dans l'espace académique là qui nous foster productive and meaningful exchanges of ideas. Okay? Les facilitate learning et qu'aussi les montre nous que nous besoin respect diverse perspectives and viewpoints. Mais en même temps, les ensure qu'ils nous maintiennent professionalism in a respectful manner. Les aussi enhance our communication skill parce que nous connaissons comment, parce que quand nous faisons discussion étiquette, les associer directement avec nos active listening and active speaking. Okay? Donc, ils montrent nous comment nous improve nos communication skills, comment nous articuler une idée et comment nous rester diplomatiques. Ils aussi promote constructive dialogue, ce qui nous finit causer, nous pas besoin, nous pas payer trop en détail. Ils aussi amène an idea of maintaining integrity of academic discussions, parce que c'est là que nous fait référence à une source, une critique, une théorie, etc. C'est qu'ils ont été dans notre assignment, c'est references. And then they also ensure a balanced participation between the speakers and the listeners. Donc, comme ça, vous êtes pas un jeu de pouvoir, pas une power dynamics qui joue et pas une personne qui feel dominated or the one who dominates. And of course, it allows you to time manage your you know, fait quoi dans une conférence, vous à 15 minutes. Les autres pour manage parce qu'ils ont connu qu'ils étaient dans 15 minutes pour causer. It also allows you to stay on the topic. You are not distracted. You are not disorganized. Okay. And then it creates a safe environment for sharing, for understanding, for respecting each other's thoughts and ideas. Therefore, supporting academic growth and academic knowledge dissemination and sharing. Of course, quand on a ça, nous pena confusion, nous pena misunderstanding. These do's and don'ts of the academic speaking is a very important area of focus. So what you need to do, you need to respect the contribution of other speakers. You need to know that others have things to say too. You need to listen actively. You acknowledge what you find interesting. Par exemple, le cas de ah madame, je ne comprends pas qui me supposé faire active listening. So you're acknowledging that you have understood that point. And then remember, a discussion, n'est pas comment nous disons créole discuter. A discussion is you agree or disagree politely. And you need to understand and respect differing views. Je ne suis pas d'accord avec un point, parce que ça veut dire que I'm right. Okay, it might be that the person also is right. So you need to understand that you disagree to agree. And then you need to think about what kinds of contributions you are bringing to the table. Par exemple, in répondre aux questions, that in contribute là to the field, that in contribute, men comprend que you know what is an etiquette. Okay. So, and then you need to try to focus on the topic. For example, comme expliqué depuis commencement, I am focused on the topic of today's lesson. Mo pas raconte des histoires, mo pas les autres racontent des histoires parce que it will pop in our tutorial time. So, and then one thing is very important when you're discussing, when you're following the etiquette, you need to be mindful and conscious of your body language. Par exemple, pendant la classe de face-to-face, me remarque beaucoup d'affaires because you observe, I observe. So, I observe that many of you are restless. Restless, là, pas ça veut dire qu'ils ont pour dire, moi, lis en parole. I see your eye movement. I see your, you are, some of you are chatting on using your phone. Ou soit qu'arrivé, il y a beaucoup unconsciously, we start to shake our legs, ou nous jouer avec nous la main. Okay, so this body language, you should take care of that because you remember, action speaks louder than words. So your body language is a powerful means of communication, which sometimes we are not conscious of. So what you should not do, you should refrain from making rude, hurtful, sexist, racist, humiliating, derogatory comments, because otherwise you are defeating the purpose of respect. You should respect other people's ideas and perspective and allow them to feel free to share their ideas. Just like I ask you every time, do you have anything to say? Do you have any comments? Then you need to refrain from, always wanting to be the dominating one. Give others space and air time to breathe and speak. And then you need to be careful about how you use your humor, your wit, your sarcasm, and afin de faire ban jokes qui mal passé. So you need to take care because not everyone might be agreeable to the kind of joke. Sometimes it happens to us too. Nos collègues peuvent faire un joke, mais je ne rien, nous parier. Parce que peut-être we did not find anything funny in that, or we did not we did not appreciate what was told. So on the unit, you will see there are links. You please go and read the links. Allez. Now I'm coming to something very serious, which is important for your which is very important for your area of focus. Okay, area of research, area of focus. So now we are speaking about analytical. I might not be taking the notes, okay? I might not be taking the notes on the full notes. I'm just sharing it so that you know what I'm speaking about. So we have 4 types of writings. Okay, let me go back to the unit. So how many of you have been able to go through this academic writing? No? So we have 4 types of academic writing style. The first one is analytical, as the word says, analyser. The second one is descriptive. The third one is narrative. And the fourth one is argumentative. Vous êtes, c'est un peu de ce qui nous fait quand nous sommes à l'école. Okay. However, here it's very different. And you will see in the notes, if you have links, you have websites like this, please click and go, because there are additional information that will help you. And these writing styles are important styles in academia, and it is an area of focus. So when we speak of analytical writing, we're speaking about, brainstorming of the facts, ideas. You can use mind mapping, you can use, similarities, bullet points, etc. You can also draw your own diagrams to understand the text in front of you. And very often in this style of writing, you are going to have graphs, pie charts, you're going to have graphics and visuals, okay? Like color coding, flow charts, tree diagrams, tables, bar charts, pie charts. So remember, whenever you are going to discuss these graphics in an analytical manner, you need to give an overall view of what you have seen in the bar chart. Okay, let's say I'm taking a bar chart. So you give a general overview. Quand nous peut dire analyser, les là, je besoin prendre un data qui est dans le bar chart là, je écris un petit paragraphe. Fait que moi, j'ai 5 points. Nous avons axis Y et Y. Le axis X est un tout bon élément. Fait que moi, j'ai COVID-19, il alcoholism, il education, il home, il c'est pas qu'ils ont fait encore, okay? So these are the informations. Remember, on graphics and visuals, you are not going to have detailed information. You are going to, because bar charts, graphics, and all visuals, they are the representational facts of a survey and any data collection that has been done. So, je peux servir ça définitivement dans une dissertation. So, you always, for all types of writing là, nous donne un petit descriptive overall paragraph. Après, nous prenons tout bon point qu'il y a, bien sûr, pour une bonne statistique en pourcentage. Nous prenons tout bon point, nous essayons de discuter bon pourcentage là. Mais, but when we come to analytical style, you need to add details. Par exemple, the bar chart illustrates that 43% of women around, between the age of 50 to 60 have undergone, a rigorous training. Correct? Donc, me mettre women sur age group, me mettre ce data, ces statistiques, après me mettre que training. Donc, fait que moi, j'ai ça m'a fait là de bar chart là. Là, je disais, mettez donc comparative, quand je peux comparer bar chart là, je suis capable d'ajouter qui probably dans sa situation là, dans sa place là, peine beaucoup access to formal education, comment dire, paper oriented education, exam oriented education. Donc là, je focus sur training. Donc là, je besoin rajouter. Je besoin monter cette critique quand je peux lire the bar chart ou ça de graphics. Maintenant que je peux lire aussi, je peux comparer et contraster. Remember, you try to use the peel technique. So you can compare and contrast the statistics. So, alors que 90% madame en tel âge, à tel âge, in the récit acquire and academic qualification at high school level, ok? D'autre part, nous trouvons qu'il existe 10% madame dans tel pays, in récit, gain access to a school. So, là, on finit contraster. Là, je peux analyser, lire entre les lignes, lire, bien sûr, quand je peux lire entre les lignes, je besoin prendre un détail qui est dans le bar chart là, ou soit graphique là, pas ajouter non ni. Maintenant, fait que moi, je viens pour, je te une question là pour assignment. Là, je fais additional research. Correct? Mais rappelle qui, quand nous payons academic writing styles, you need to focus on the topic that is given to you. Now, when we speak of descriptive, now, vous êtes en quatre types de writing skills là, style là, et dans 10 anti-différences. Anti-différence, c'est langage. The language that you will use for analytical style is quite different from the language that you're going to use for descriptive style. Okay? So, descriptive, comme on l'a dit, c'est décrire. Décrire, quand je suis un visual, je décris ce qui est dans le bar chart, pas ajouter any information, pas besoin d'analyser. Bien sûr, introduction, c'est de donner un overall view. Je dis moi que ça détaille la personne. Qui ça bar chart, là, ça graphique, là, peut représenter, c'est pas un UN report, ou soit un survey qui Mauricine fait, etc. De toute façon, you will get the information there. Donc, toute bonne introduction, c'est overall overview. Maintenant, quand nous pouvons faire paragraphing, nous capables, nous besoin focus. Donc, faites-moi dire premier paragraphe, nous mettez qui the bar chart illustrates, ou ça, the bar chart evidences that 10% ban madame, ban suffit de ça l'âge là, in never got access to education. OK? Whereas, comme dit le pourcentage, il réussit à access. Correct? Donc, je disais d'écrire 10 ce que j'ai trouvé. Donne-moi les statistiques, donne-moi ban d'état qui est dans le graphique là, le visuel là, pas ajoute non. Maintenant, quand nous cause le narrative style. Narrative style, si je dis dans ce livre, lit un peu comment raconte l'histoire. As the word says, narrative style. So, narrative style, it's like, you know, when I entered the classroom, I noted that 30% des enfants were sleeping. Donc, when I entered the class, it's already an indication that it has a storyline. It is a kind of narration. So, if you go on your manual, in your manual, 1 minute. You go in your manual, I'll tell you the page number, okay? In your manual, it is Unit 4. So if you go on page 23, Unit 4, you will have this narrative style. When we met for our first tape recorded research conversation with Darlene, we revisited our research intentions, that is to learn about the experiences of diverse children, families, and teacher researchers as their lives met on a school landscape. So you read this, you will understand the very beginning makes it a narrative style. Page 24 est encore deux exemples. Then when we come to descriptive style, it goes like that on page 25. Shadow education expanded after Korea's 1948 independence, in part because of the removal of constraints by the colonial regime. So all these are already available on the text, in the text that is provided. Then when you go for the analytical, you have a graph, and then it says, you know, Wonder Woman's own creation through an independent act by her mother, who made her from clay without any involvement from a man, echoes continuing feminist concerns about the importance of women's freedom to make choices about their reproductive rights. So this is how you analyze, okay? So all the examples in your manual. If you do not go to the manual, you will have difficulties to identify. So then the last one is you go for the argumentative. Vous êtes effectif. Pareil que nous faisons dans HSI Form 5, quand nous faisons argumentative, nous avons argumentation pour et argumentation contre. Maintenant, là, quand nous pouvons faire pour et contre, we can compare and contrast. The best way is to compare and contrast. Là, nous pouvons faire un argument. Okay? So now, let's go to, remember, these writing academic styles are important area of focus. Please do also your independent research. So when we go for what are the don'ts? Sorry, what are the do's of academic writing? Vous êtes une amanquiteuse qui nous bien faire, une amanquiteuse qui nous bien pas faire quand nous cause academic writing. And it's very, very important that you follow them. Parce que c'est ça même qui peut montrer the growth in academia, mais aussi in terms of lifelong learning. So here I'm speaking about the do's of academic writing. You need to be clear, focus and project your ideas effectively. You need to introduce your thesis statement, that is your main argument, in your introduction and each part. Remember, we are thinking of pillar at the back of our mind. Kanuko's organization, I spoke about it in the class. You need to have a clear-cut structure, organize your writing in a coherent and logical manner. Therefore, using the peel technique, you have the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Remember, mo rappel mo ti dia mo ti bonhomme lo tableau. Okay? Then you need to support your arguments with evidences which are credible, which are relevant, and um, you can depend on them. And this is why in your assignments, you need to put references. And of course, the citations go for the references part. You need also to engage with the text and bring in critical and analytical thinking. You cannot simply summarize. If you are giving me summary for questions that are asked, you are going to be penalized because you need to read the questions properly. Then you need to maintain your formal academic tone and be objective. We have spoken lengthily about that in other previous classes, face-to-face and online. Then, of course, you need to do a proofreading and editing, a review of your work, because you need to ensure that your language is proper, is good, is effective, you are clear, your grammar are properly used, the style is proper, and then the overall, if there are any mistakes. Then if you feel like you have time, you can request any one of your friends to go through your paper and give you feedback. And of course, you need to do that for your friends too. And one of the things that we ask from you is to be original. When you are original, you bring in honest, bold, and productive, constructive criticism. You are supported by your critics and theories. Therefore, your plagiarism goes low. So what should you not do in academic writing? Plagiarism is out of questions. That is where your originality go low. You need to give reference for each and everything that you copy paste. You should not use colloquial or informal or non-academic language. You should not beat around the bush for a topic. That's called rambling. You need to focus on the argument. So when you are going to follow your peel technique, it's definite. I give you the guarantee that you will not be repetitive. You will be focused in your answers. And then you cannot make any claim or any ideas where you do not support. You need to support, you need to back up your arguments, your topics with evidence. And please avoid hyperbolic exaggerations. So, you tend, sometimes while writing, we tend to overgeneralize things. If you do that, you need to support with proper referencing information. And please make sure, very often I have noticed that your papers are inconsistent in style and formatting. So if you know that we are using the Harvard system, please use the Harvard system. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? No? C'est bon? If you see me go offline for 2 minutes, please bear with me. I am having, I think my battery is dying. I'll just join in 2 minutes. Thank you for being patient. Allez, I want to ask you something now. Qui ça n'a pas bien comprendre non, ni dans classe? Please feel free. So if I have no answers, I'll take it as you are, sorry, you are understanding. So give me 1 second, I'll just go back to academic writing. So you need to, if you see the manual and the notes, they are aligned, but I've tried to give you a bit of additional notes so that, you know, if you don't remember what is in the manual, at least you will remember what is in the notes. Or if you forget the notes, you know what is in the manual. So please remember the notes and the manual goes hand in hand. Sorry, they go hand in hand. So when we speak of don'ts, we need to understand too that plagiarism plays an important role in, you know, in curbing your your ability to be original. So that's why it's very important to, you know, it's very important to be original and to give references to all your sources. One of the reasons why I do penalize students very often is because of this plagiarism and you know, of lack of references, not particularly about the sentences and all, but because you do not give the proper references. So now you should also understand that if your work lacks a structure, and very often we lack a structure because we do not use the peel technique or the teal technique, as I mentioned last time, which is in the manual. So okay, so the lack of structure does not allow you to present your idea in an organized and coherent manner. So you need to be able, you need to review this, you know. Probably some of you will understand. I'll be giving feedback for your assignment about structure too. So please read your feedback, because if the same is reproduced in the exam, of course you will be penalizing yourself. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? And then avoid some disciplines, some subjects ask you to give personal opinions, personal reflections. When you are asked and you give it, you are good. But when you are not asked to give personal opinions, personal reflections, you be objective. One of the important aspects of academic writing, of academic literacies, is this objectivity. You need to be objective. You cannot write you know, personal opinions and all, because if you do that, it means you might be bringing a kind of bias to your work, and biases, personal prejudices are not kind of really accepted. Okay, and then you need to avoid exaggeration, because if you exaggerate, you beat around the bush and you go irrelevant. So when you go irrelevant, it means that you are penalizing yourself. Are we good? Do you have any questions? Any questions, any doubts? Any questions, any doubts? No, c'est bon. So then you should
Madame,
not
j'ai une question.
procrastinate. Allez-y.
Pour les recherches, à part Google Scholar, qu'est-ce que je peux servir encore? Vous m'entendez?
Oui, je vous entends. Donc, you can, you know, give me 1 second. My screen is frozen. I cannot see who is speaking to me. Yeah. So you have access to the OU library services, and there you have been given access um, to websites like Elsevier, ResearchGate, EBSCOhost, Wiley. You remember I mentioned a list of the websites, for scholarly materials in the class, face to face. So you can note it: Taylor and Francis, ResearchGate, Elsevier, EBSCOhost, Wiley, Academia.edu, Google Scholar. Okay. You have Creative Commons. Then you have LibreText. Okay. Did I answer your question? Sorry, I could not see who was asking me the question. No, I did not hear the question about exams. Can you please? So you want to know, will we get a case study or set of questions for exam? You will have questions where you will have, you need to know the basics from the notes and the manual. And you might also, because unit 4 is very important, you might get a graphic representations on which you will have to answer. Okay, so I cannot tell you more than that. Do we have any more questions? Any more questions? So you will see in the notes you have links. You have some links, so please go to the links, open the links and see them, watch them and take your own notes. And then you have here varying sentences structure. This one, some ideas about how to vary your structures, so you cannot just start all paragraphs in the same way. Par exemple, si je touche le chat GPT, which I can see in many of your assignments, okay? So if you go on ChatGPT has a particular way of writing. So you need to vary the sentences. Par exemple, nous avons simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, ce qui nous dit short, medium, long sentences. You need to vary your sentence. Now, because we are at the level of the university, you cannot simply write a series of short sentences. You need to vary. You need to, montre-moi qui, you know that there are different types of sentences. Maintenant, pas écrire une phrase qui commence le N la ligne et qui finit le quatrième la ligne. Okay? Because your ideas and the essence of your ideas of your main topic will be lost. Do you have any questions? Allez, donc ça c'est Kimen Jazot, simple, compound, complex, compound sentences. You can do your research, and guys, you can go on Invid, envid.com. Ingvid, E-N-G-V-I-D. Ingvid.com, c'est un site qui donne, au fait, c'est ban tutors in English qui explique super bien, super bien, with the whiteboard at the back and all. Interactive aussi, l'autre base anglais. Donc, verbs, sentences, nouns, complex compound sentences, etc. So I think those who are facing a bit of difficulties in the language, you not only those, even if you're good, it applies for everyone. Please go on these videos and you will learn a lot, how to improve your language. So these are some sentences, some examples of how you can begin your sentences. Then what are, how you you know, what are the functions of varying your sentences? Par exemple, nous capables servir declarative sentences, interrogative, imperative, exclamatory. Okay? And then you have different openers for each sentence. Par exemple, you have while, although, despite, furthermore, moreover, additionally, in addition. Then you have to conclude, in conclusion, to summarize, to sum up, for concluding, as a deduction, and then to put emphasis, to lay emphasis on something. You can use inversion or parallelism. Parallelism is a bit like comparison, but then you need to focus on the, you know, on the chronological order when you're varying your sentences. So you can use cause and effect, compare and contrast, problem solution. So in the manual for Unit 4 on page 39, these are the things that you need to avoid. Avoid redundancy, avoid repeating the same thing again and again, and avoid redundancy means do not use things that are not applying to the topic. And then you know, sometimes we use obsolete information, which irrelevant information. So you need to take care that whatever you present are relevant. And then the use of active and passive you need to be careful of. We use the most active voice, and then you do not write impersonally. Sorry, you write impersonally because you have to take the objective approach. Are we good? Are we good? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Any questions? Any doubts? Non, c'est bon? Please, you can chat. Ask me your questions on chat. No, ma'am, thank you. No good. Any comments? Any additional information that you would like to share with us? So if you don't have any questions or doubts, I'll stop the recording now, and then I'll have a bit. Yes.
Ma'am, for the narrative style,
Yes.
whether we have to describe if we have to describe the bar chart, we should not use personal pronouns.
Yes.
For the narrative style,
No.
when we are
No, you do
describing the
not.
bar chart,
You have to. Normally we don't use narrative style for bar charts, but it depends on the question that you are going to get. So but because you are going to focus yourself on the bar chart, you do not avoid using I, because it becomes more personal. You need to use the report. Okay, the report, the bar chart, the information, the data. This is where you remain objective. Do you have more questions? More questions? No, c'est bon? Okay. If you don't have any questions, I'll stop the class because we have nearly reached, but I want to speak to you a bit, just, you know, to have an overall view about the class and all. So I thank you for being here. I'm going to stop the recording now.